Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Kashif Kamran and I welcome you all to a session titled Time to Move Forward, which is basically a counseling session where we will be discussing the exam results for September 22 exams. Now, I have been joined today by some very brilliant students from AAA and SBL. I've been joined by Ashi from India. She scored 72 marks in the SBL paper. I've also been joined by Nurulan. She's from Pakistan. She scored 64 marks in the AAA paper. And I've been joined by Piyush. He scored 79 marks and he's from India. I welcome you all on board for the session today. Time to move forward. Now, I will be taking on your questions. If anyone have any questions pertaining to the September 22 exam results, you are more than welcome to raise the question to me and my panel, and we will be answering your questions as much as possible over the next 60 minutes. Now, starting first with the ACCA exam results for September 22 and just taking a holistic overview of the result. As per ACCA, a total of 86,630 students entered the September 22 exams, and some 99,192 exams were completed. So that's almost near to touching the six digit. 99,192 exams were completed. There is something very important from the ACCA results today. This is what Ellen has to say. You can see that on your screen. Ellen is the Executive Director for Content, Quality and Innovation at ACCA. And she said that pass rates remain up to 20% better for those students who use the ACCA exam practice platform. And that is something to be reinforced in the session today from my side and from the side of my panel, that practicing on the platform is one of the key to success. Because if you're just practicing still with the pen and paper and you're not going on the practice platform even a week before exams, you are calling yourself into a lot of trouble. So you need to practice all the past papers using the platform rather than the pen and paper mindset. So that's an outcome from Ellen, being the Director of Content, Quality and Innovations. Just quickly looking at this, the theme of the session, we are discussing results for AA, AAA, and SBL. I have a panel with me who is into SBL and AAA. But if you have any AA question, we are more than happy to answer that as well, because all this panel must have gone through the AA paper as well. Now, quickly looking at the passing rates, the AA passing rate has jumped up to 44%. Last time it was 39%. So that is quite an optimistic or a favorable result for AA this time. Looking at the AAA passing rate, the AAA passing rate with the introduction of professional marks coming in for the first time has jumped up to 34% from the previous 31%. So we do see that incremental impact coming in the AAA paper, though I was expecting more, but it is still better, because the 31% passing rate was just like a nightmare for the AAA student. Looking at 31% passing rate, 34 seems a bit better number. And towards the SPL passing rates, the SPL passing rate has just gone a percentage down from the last exam sitting, 49% in September 22, whereas it was 50. It's more or less in the same bracket. If you look at the last 6 exam sittings for SPL, you find SPL moving in that bracket of 49 and 50. So nothing much alarming for SPL, and it's still a doable paper. It's still a manageable paper if you look at the strategic, the essential papers at the strategic level. Okay, now moving further, let's look at the question and answers. That's where we need to focus on, and I need to engage my panel so they speak more and I speak less. Okay, let's see if we have a question which we can put in. Okay, there is a first question which is coming from Muhammad Ayaz, and it's about the SBL paper. He's saying, "Dear sir, I scored 44 in my first attempt of SBL in September. What should I do moving forward?" I would first like Ashi and Piyush to answer this before I conclude my perspective on this. First, Ashi, you speak.
Yeah, so if you have scored 44 and this was your first attempt, so I think that the approach, you can change your approach of studying in SBL. First of all, I would say that SBL is a kind of paper wherein you need to connect with the real world more than just mugging up in from study kit or study text or the exam kit. Like if even we practice the questions from exam kit, we can see that most of the models are connected to the case, and we cannot just write the model name and what it says. So, like if I give an example of change management, maybe in change management we can connect it to real world, that what how we manage to accept a change when it happens in our lives, maybe in our professional lives or our personal lives. So this is how we should connect the case with the model or whatever we have studied in SBL. So I think this is one approach that you can change. Other than that, you can maybe make notes of every topic that we study in SBL, not just the notes that sir provides, but we can make a very short and crisp notes that is in our own language, that we can go through at the last point of time. So these are some things that we can do, and other than that, I think Piyush can add on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
just one
Piyush,
thing
can
I
you?
think.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Mohammed, if you scored 44, like, this is a very decent score. I mean, you are very near to passing. So I think you should introspect, like, where have you lacked? Is it the preparation thing or is it the delivery thing? I mean, there have been times like when I prepare so much and I am unable to deliver in the exam hall. So it is very important to know where you have lacked. So if it is the delivery thing, then you have to, focus on more on practice, because SBL is all about practice. If you see the past paper, the use of models would be hardly of 25%. The 75% is a very generic paper. And even if you are not able to apply the models, then also if you write a connected answer, you'll get the marks. So SBL, the thing with SBL is the case study is very long. It has 7 to 8 extracts, and then you are lost in the case studies, where to go. So you have to plan the approach, how you will be doing that. And for that, you have to practice the mocks. So without mocks, I think this paper is a nightmare. And the only thing which can, guarantee a success in this paper is mock, at least 2 to 3 mocks before going into the exam hall. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Ashi and Piyush. I hope Muhammad Ayaz, you got the answer from directly from the students who just got successful in the September 22 exams with not just like a 50 marks, just like scoring 72 and 79. So I'm not just adding anything to what Ashi and Piyush said, because this is excellent words from them. I'll be winding up at the end. I tried. My strategy today is to listen more to the students than to speak myself, because if I start to speak, then I don't give opportunity to anyone to speak in. So I try my best to keep myself muted today and let others speak more in the session. Okay, there is a question on AAA as well coming from Bilal Ahmed, and I would like Nurulan to answer this. Uh, Bilal is saying I scored 46 in AAA, and we normally see these failures into 40s, and that's where the most difficulty come in, because it's difficult to absorb when you fail in 40s and you start raising question that why I failed into late 40s, because I hope most of you have expectation of passing, but when you fail at 44, 45, 46, that's where the problem starts to come in. Bilal is asking, is it okay to go for December attempt again, or should he skip the
Uh,
attempt?
um, from my perspective, I think that he should go for December attempt because he is very near to passing the paper, right? So he needs to work on the things that he is lacking, and also uh, he just gave the paper, right? So so many things he can just go through them again, and it'll be easy for him to revise everything and focus more on the things that he's lacking in. For example, if he skips December attempt, take another subject, and then he gives it in March, then it will be like he's starting from the scratch. It'll be like this, in my perspective. So I think he should definitely attempt in December.
Yes, that is totally a right strategy. Anyone who fails in September should immediately opt for the same paper in December. You should not give a gap, particularly when you have failed into late 40s. Now, for example, if you have failed in like 25, 26 marks, that's a bad failure. Now, that's where you need to study from like scratch again. But if you have failed into 40s, what Nurul just said, I will just be reinforcing that. You need to find your flaws. You just need to fine tune yourself. And you just need to find where you lacked in September. You just need to investigate that. And if you are able to investigate the reason of your failure in the next 48 hours, you are on the right track preparing yourself for December 22 exams. So again, my answer is same. Just quickly, another question with the same tone for AAA. Kalvir is asking a question. I scored 48 on AAA. How can I change my strategy to ensure I pass the next attempt, right? So it's more like the same question we had from Bilal. Lots of students fail in AAA in 45 to 49 bracket, and that's where you need to sit down and realize your mistakes. I've already done a session on YouTube, if you can search that out, which was analyzing failure. If you can watch that video, it will just tell you how you should sit down in the next 48 hours and investigate the reason why you failed the AAA paper. So again, it's about practicing more recent papers, getting to the practice platform, because 48 is not a bad failure. Just like Piyush also said, 48 is considered as a good failure. It's just about doing the questions in a more proper manner. It must be the case that you have done one question bad. You must have done one question in the section B bad, and you were going very fine with the rest of the questions. So I'm just searching for another question which would be of interest. There is another question from Meth. This is my second attempt. First, I got 32. This time around, I got 42. I was due to take SBL in December. Should I retake AAA in December or go for SBL? I would like just a quick 30-second words from each one of you. I hope you got the question right, all of you.
Yes.
Okay, Ashi, a quick 30 seconds. What would you suggest him? Should he go for SBL or repeat AAA?
I think what he can do is, like, if I would have been at that place, I would have given both AAA and SBL in December,
Fine,
because they are they are quite connected. I can say SBL is also more practical, so it's not like you have to go through the books. So, and AAA, if you have scored 32 in the first time and 42 in the second, then there are chances that he passes in December. So I think
fine,
both can be given in December.
fine. Totally agree. Quick 30 seconds, Nurulain. What should the student do in this is at this point in time?
I think same as she said. He can pass it in December attempt if he is very near, and if he can manage the time and he can pay attention to both the subjects at the same time, then he should go for both. And if he cannot, then he should just take one subject at a time. And I guess,
Fine.
inshallah, he'll pass in December attempt.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Piyush, a quick 30 seconds on this question.
Yeah, I agree with both of them. Like, it is visible, like, if he gives both the exams in one sitting, because
Hmm,
he has a hang of AAA, and I think these both exams are very related to each other. In SBL also, there is one question related to audit risk. There is a huge, content for controls. So, which you have already studied in audit, which will facilitate you to give the better answer in SBL. So I think the recent preparation and the fresh preparation of audit will enable a student to pass the SBL exam also, because he'll use the better terminology going forward in the SBL exams, which will give more professional marks.
yes, I totally agree with all three of you, because if you are repeating a paper for the third time, your efforts goes down in that paper, because you exactly know the structure of the paper. You exactly know how to prepare and how to go about things. So probably it's not like giving a new paper. So you just need to fine tune yourself. So considering it's the mid of October and you still have like 45 days entering December, so it is doable that if you have started preparing SPL, but if you have not yet started preparing SPL, and you were thinking about preparing SPL after the results are out, I believe then the time is less to go with both papers. But if you are already preparing SBL like for like over a month or 1.5 month, and when the result came out, now you're confused, should I go both papers or one? Then I would suggest that you need to go with one only in December. But that's what I need to add on to the what the student panel just said. There is another similar question coming from Priyanka. She's saying, I scored 41 in AAA, not really sure where it went wrong. That's the most important question you get right after exams, that students fail to investigate where they went wrong. And I would like to have a word with each one of you, Ashi, Nurulan, and Piyush. How should a student investigate where he went wrong? Suppose you are in place of Priyanka, you should have done it at that point in time.
I think, as per me, here comes the role of a person. If you have a study buddy, I would say, in
Agree.
that case, if you like I and Pew studied together, we told. So when we used to give exams, what we used to do was, even if our sets were different, we used to discuss what we wrote in the exam and what could have been the better pointers, or maybe there were some pointers that he wrote and I didn't write, or some pointers that I used to tell him and he was like that, okay, I didn't do that. So there we used to understand that where we lagged, and were our answers right or were they completely wrong. Usually they are not completely wrong, it's subjective. But I think that is where you get to know that how where you have lacked exactly in which topic, I would say. Because
And
more or less, even
basically,
in different sets, yeah, sorry, even in different sets, the questions are almost the same, I would say.
Agree.
and just
Agree.
want to add on, I mean, while doing mock also, if we follow this practice, you can easily get the different perspective of thinking. Like if suppose Ashi has written in some answer, and I have found some five words, I mean five professional words which can, give a better picture to my answer, so they'll fetch more marks. I'll, grab some content from there also. I know what I have written. Now I know her answer also. And in
Agree.
that way, I learn five words from her. She'll learn five new words from me. So that is how it will improve the results of both the persons. And
Agree.
then you
Agree.
can, discuss things, and then you can agree upon certain points, like which one is better. You can self mark yourself. So it will ultimately help, because ACC is not at all about cramping things. I mean, you
I
cannot
totally
pass
agree.
paper just
Mm.
by reading books and all. You have to discuss, you have to like be into such atmosphere. Like if you are studying audit, you have to think like an auditor. If you are
Yes, I totally
appealing
agree.
for
Mm.
SBL, you are a strategic leader. You have to think like that. So that is
Yes,
how.
that's very important. Exactly. I totally agree that you at times you need to assess yourself as a student. A lot of students prefer studying in a single environment, just sitting themselves and reading. Lots of students prefer going in a group study models as well, and both have their pros and cons.
Yeah.
But it's about your personality. It's about the way you want to learn, because both models are beneficial for students and in student success. Even ACCA highlights the impact of a group study approach, and most of the time the group study approach is considered more successful than you're studying on an individual basis, because again you have a synergistic effect, just like Ashi and Piyush is giving their example. I think you have that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5 effect, which
Yeah.
at the end of the day comes better in terms of your success in exams as well. I'm just moving to the next question, because again there is a range of questions coming in. So Nurulan, I'll be incorporating you in the next question,
Sure,
right?
sure.
One thing I would like to discuss again with all of you is there is a common problem which keeps coming to me as a tutor. The student says that we have done the revision kit 100%, and we have read the answers from the revision kit as well, but still we are not passing the paper. How realistic is to read answers and not writing your own answers, or how realistic is to solve the whole kit, not just focusing on the quality of the recent past papers? If I can start first, Nurulan, with you, and then moving on to Wasif joining us now, and then Ashi and Piyush, sorry.
Sure, sir. Sir, I think that it's very important to write your own answers, and then if you need to self mark yourself, then you can take help from the kit. But it's very important to write your own answers. Sometimes I do this, that I read the answer from the kit, and if I don't have that much time, so I do this sometimes, that I read the answer from the kit and skip through it. But I do write points. I make pointers that, okay, I if I am going to write this answer, then I'll be answering these points, or I'll be putting these points in my answer. So if there is a time limitation, then you should at least make pointers or something like that. But it's very, very important to write your own answers and then self mark yourself with the help of the kit. But not it is not recommended to rely just only by reading the answers from the kit, I think.
Okay. Thank you so much. Vasif, would you like to add something to it? How critical is revision kit, and should you read answers from revision kit or write your own answers?
I hope you can hear me. With regards to the revision kit, I myself personally did not use a revision kit. I was mostly focused with the past papers with regards to your advice and your blocks, and that's what I usually used
Hmm.
in terms of answering my questions. I would
Okay.
then compare it to what the marking scheme and examiner reports. That's what I usually used. I never actually used the revision kits,
Okay.
nor
So
did I
you
look into one.
okay. Fine. And what about Ashi and Piyush? Are you type of students who go into revision kit, or you just again rely on the past papers?
I think the revision kit also contains mostly the past papers only. Only the recent ones we used to download and we used to practice that also. So
Fine.
in this case, what we used to do was that we neither used to read the answers nor we used to write our own answers, because that is not possible for every question in exam kit. There are a
Agree.
lot of questions. What we used to do was either if we are studying alone, then we used to just brainstorm and write the pointers, just like she said that we'll write our pointers and then we'll match it to the marking scheme given in the answer kit. From that you can check the pointers only and then you can read the answer, then you get a better overview of the answer. And secondly, what we used to do was that when we used to discuss together, we used to brainstorm also together. Some points he used to say, some points I used to say, and then we used to jot down the pointers and we again used to match them to the marking scheme, wherein they are given in a very short and crisp manner. And from there we used to evaluate that how much we were able to how much we were able to jot down, and that is how we used to go about it.
Totally agree. If I can just sum up, and I want your quick yes and no to that. If you are attempting a question at home, uh, my strategy would be that you read the requirements and then you go and get yourself involved in the case study and try to brainstorm the case, and just jot down your key points, which you will be explaining later. Now, once you've jotted down your points, you can go and reconcile your points with the examiner point at the end of the answer or with the revision kit points, just to see how much of those points are reconciling. If there is an extra point in revision kit, or if there is an extra point in the examiner answer, you can take a learning of that why the examiner wrote this point, what is the perspective behind this point, might help you in another question of the same nature. But uh, directly reading answers at the first go is not the wise strategy. I think you should develop a mind map of the answer yourself, and then try to connect that with the revision kit answer or with the examiner answer. That is a wise strategy, because we cannot rule out revision kit. Revision kit is a very important uh, resource, and lots of students use revision kits in their preparation towards exams. So we cannot just say revision kit should not be used, because some students like revision kit model and some students just download the past papers and they go ahead with the past paper. Just like Wasif said that I used to do the past papers, not the revision kit. But we have like quite a diversified answer from the panel this time. Okay, just moving ahead. Let's take some unique questions. Again, failing in 44s and not finding reasons. Again, the panel has been discussing that. Let's see if we have some different question, which needs to be answered in. Okay, there is a question from a student saying, I got only 30 marks in my first attempt of AAA. Should I attempt December attempt? This is my worst ever marks in the history of my ACCA career. I don't know what to do. My mock marks were 49. Even he failed in the mock exams as well by one. But we know there is a quite an optimism in the mock marks, to be very honest, because the mocks are marked not by the real marker. So if there has to be a variance between the real marker marks and the tutor marks. Normally, we do take guidance when we are marking a student to give a constructive feedback, but I think there is a bit of optimism when a teacher is marking a mock of his or her student. I hope the panel will agree to that. So you even failed in the mock, right, at 49, and realistically you failed at 30. So I do find a correlation in your result. So but again, failing at 30, should you go for December exams? Quickly, yes and no answers from all four of you, starting with you, Ashi.
I think yes, you should go for the December attempt because
Okay.
I never recommend anyone to leave a subject and start another, because
Agree.
I think that you have already read this, so you can work upon this.
Okay, fine. Nurlan, your strategy. Should he go for December?
Yes, I think he should.
He should. And Piyush, what is your recommendable strategy?
It depends on two factors. First of all, I wanted to know if he can quickly type in if he has appeared for SBR paper.
Okay,
And
fine.
secondly, what was his score for double A? If the score was around 50 only, and I can see he's scoring 30 marks in triple A. So I can see there, I mean, from double A to triple A, there is not much more extension of the course. Rather, I
Agree.
would say there are few portions of the course which are left out in triple A.
Agree.
So the only complexity which I found in AAA is that they can ask you more complex accounting standards, which were not there in AA. In AA, they used to ask simple IAS, IFRS, which were common in nature. But in AAA, they'll ask you more complex IFRS. So for that, you need to have good knowledge of SBR. So I would recommend, if you are not well versed with AAA right now, you can go for SBR first in December, and then you can maybe plan for AAA and SBL together. So in that way, you can compensate your one attempt, and SBR would definitely help in passing AAA.
Agree. Agree. And what about your opinion, Wasif? Should he go for December attempt, considering he got his worst ever marks in the history of ACCA?
Yeah, I think he should go for the next attempt.
In
Hopefully, he's
December.
not writing another exam with AAA with regards to another completely separate exam like an AFM or something. But I do
Okay.
agree he should go.
Okay, so the entire panel is in agreement that he should go for December. If I can just add one thing here, that considering these are your worst mark in ACCA history, sitting today on the 17th of October, you might be psychologically down today because you will be assessing why I failed. And I think this depression will be on you for the next 48 hours, perhaps, because you need to come out of this depression that this is my worst ever marks if you want to move forward. Because if you keep yourself in the depression why I got failed, rather than investigating the reason of failure, because this is also very bad that when the results are out, a lot of students who were expecting to pass and they get failed, I think they spend a lot of time in depression rather than sitting down and analyzing where you failed and start developing a new approach as quickly as possible. Exams for December are not very far away, they're just 45 days away now. And in the 45 days, if you spend like 1 week in depression and not even planning yourself what to do next, I think that will make your December exams more difficult. So I don't know your name who was asking the question, because there is your nickname coming in, but I believe you should come out of this dilemma as soon as possible that you got the worst ever marks, because this normally happens. AAA has a history of such students, honestly. I was just interacting with a student prior to my session today. He told me not to name him, and so I will not be naming him. This was his 12th exam sitting in AAA, and he finally got through 11 exam sittings before this. Now, I hope you can take some motivation here. That means the student, look at the situation of a student with 11 exam sittings behind you, and you're appearing for the 12th one. And doing the same paper again and again is very frustrating. Doing the same paper again and again will never create a motivation among you, because you're solving the same question perhaps 11 times, or you're solving the same question perhaps 7 times. So imagine a student sitting down for the 12th exam sitting and he passed this time. So I think such stories do create motivation among all ACCA students, that you need to take on the challenge. So if you're down one time, look ahead, right? Don't just be ashamed that I failed at 30. You have a better opportunities coming your way in December. So just moving quickly towards other questions, we have very similar looking questions, failing at 40s, failing at 40s, and asking these questions. Uh, just okay, there is a question where at least I can see the word APM coming in. Uh, the student is asking a question, uh, Ayush. Sir, should I go for both SBL and APM as there is no gap in between these two subjects? Thanks in advance. So probably one day you have SBL, the next day you have APM. Should I go for both papers? Again, quick answers from all each one of you.
I think no. For
Okay,
SBL and APM, you should not go for both of them together. First of all, there is no gap between them. And I think APM is more of a paper which, what I have heard is that no matter how much you study, the paper comes up a little different. It's like quite dynamic in nature. So I think
agree.
APM should be given as a separate sitting, and SBL can be given in December.
Okay, fine. Nurulen.
Same, sir. They should both be given at a separate attempt, in separate attempts. They should
Okay,
not be
fine.
given both at the same.
Together. Piyush, what's your say on this?
Yeah, I agree with the panel because APM is quite complex and it is considered one of the difficult exam. So it shouldn't be combined. You have a chance to fail both of them if you like go for both together.
Fine. And Vasif, just let me unmute you. What's your say on this going for both papers?
No, I agree with the panel that you should not
Okay.
take them together.
You should not give them together. Okay, fine. So all the panel is like a very risk averse panel here. No one is risk taker. So Ayush, the strategy you should take is go for one paper in December. Ideally, it should be SBL first, and going for the APM paper then in March would be a wise strategy because again, both are very difficult paper as well, and a lot of theoretical content is available in both the papers. And normally, the student have a big disliking towards understanding theory and then applying theory. So the panel agrees that one paper in December and then one paper going up in March. Okay, there is another question on. Okay, let's take on this question. Is it possible to prepare for AAA from now on for December? If a person had to study a bit of it until now, probably he studied very less till now and he wants to go for December AAA and studied AA long ago, but passed SBL and SBR in June and September respectively. So I think that's the bonus point he had. SPR in September, so ideally, that gives you a case for AAA in December. But let's see what the panel tells you. Ashi, quickly, what should he do? Should he go for AAA?
I think yes, he can go for AAA in December because he has passed both SBL and SBR, and he can just hop on to the AA topics again, just read them afresh, and then look at the topics that are extended from that AA in AAA, and look at the case studies, connect with them, and I think he's good to go then.
Fine, fine. Nurulan, quickly, your answer to this question.
Yes, agreed. He should definitely go for this December attempt because he has given SBR paper in September attempt. It is a plus point, as you said it as well, and also he will be putting a lot of effort in it. Like he has to give more time to the AAA subject from now till December attempt, but he can pass it. There is a possibility, good chances of passing the exam.
Fine. Piyush, what's your say? Should he go for December?
Definitely, but I think he has to do some smart work rather than going through kits, going through the study text and hopping on each and every topic. I mean that won't help.
Hmm.
For AAA and SBL, you have to do the smart studies, and as Sir suggested, you have to be aware of the marking schemes and only. I think the preparation and the delivery of the paper, they are both equally important in such theory exams, because if you are 100% prepared, if you have read every corner of the study kit, that won't guarantee you a success in these exams. So I mean, you have to sit from now, and you have to plan your paper rather than just start studying from anywhere. You have to plan and do the smart work that will guarantee you a success in this paper.
Totally agree. And what's your say on this, Wasif? Should you go for December?
I agree with the panel that he should go for December
He
with
should go
regards
for it.
to just passing SBR.
Fine, fine, fine. Because you answered in the last, right? So it's very easier for
Yeah,
Wasif, right? Just to agree with the panel and leave things out, because your turn comes in the last, right? So I should be
yeah.
making you in the next question the very first student, right? So at
No,
least
no,
the
no.
rest and gets to the said that panel, whatever the panel is saying is fine. So it's fine. Obviously, what the panel said is totally fine, because you have an advantage, SPR in September, and you passed it. So I think that will give you a very big boost for the AAA paper, more than the AA you've given a long time ago. Just like Ashi said, you can just overcome that double in knowledge very quickly. Even if you're following a Kaplan or BPP book, you can recover the knowledge very quickly as well. I don't know you are a self-study student or full-time student, because also that plays a very crucial part in terms of your exam preparation. If you are a full-time student, then that's doable. Okay, a good question from Ayush. How to approach professional skill marks for SBL? And we have two good students here, Ashi with 72 and Piyush with 79. So, who can better answer this question? Go ahead. How to approach the professional marks in SBL?
I think in professional marks in the books, it's given that the marks relate to what quality, like it's related to commercial acumen or it relates to professionalism, like it's already given. So we should think on those perspectives that how we can score the marks. First of all, in professional skills marks, I think very important thing is the formatting. I would say that you write in bullet points, you give it a very good, like the look of the answer is very good, so that the person not only has to go through the whole answer, but even if he reads the bullet points, he gets an overview of what you have written. So I think that is a very important thing in professional marks, I would say.
Okay, okay, agree. And what about
um,
you, Piyush?
Just to add on, I totally agree with Ashi. Just to add on one thing, like you have to take care of the professional tone in SBL. I mean, there are at times when you would be in the role which is inside the company. Suppose you would be playing a role of a finance director. I mean, and so sometimes you would be in a position of outside the company. Like you would be a person who is doing things on behalf of that company, so you have to take care of the tone. So I mean, for the person, if you are the person who is not the, I mean, you are not employed with the company, then you have to use the third person tone, like the XYZ company should do this, they should do this in their organization. So that way you have to take care of things. And if suppose you are inside the organization, then we should do this. So rather your tone should be like you are in the organization. So the
Agree.
tone of the answers is very important. And secondly, it is very important to know to whom you are writing the answer. If you are writing to, suppose if you are writing to a chief executive officer and you are giving him numbers, he won't understand. So you have to be very particular, like to whom you are talking and what you needs to talk. So
Agree.
in that way you can score good professional marks.
So it's more about adapting yourself, right, according to the
Yeah.
scenario, looking at the requirement, looking at the case study. And I think the key, what Ashi said and Piyush said, is it's more about adapting yourself. There are journal ways to score professional marks, like putting things in the right format, ensuring you are not repeating anything within your answers, giving proper headings, ensuring that you are utilizing the professional skill marks. Just like Piyush said, the tone is very important for that. So I hope, Ayush, you got something from this discussion, which Ashi and Piyush has shared with you, right? There is another question which I was expecting, but I didn't found it yet. There is a student who got flunked in AA paper, the F8 paper, at 49. And this is quite a frequently asked question in the last 12 hours since the results are out. Should I go for an administrative review? Do you find any benefits of going with an administrative review? All of you, one by one, starting with Vasif first this time. Okay, Vasif, should a student go for an administrative review? Is there any benefit?
I would say, maybe in my opinion, no. The
Okay.
examiner understands what sort of skills and rigor they want from a student.
Right.
Therefore, I'm sure they've made a
Right
good
decision.
decision with regards to not giving you that last mark. There probably is a room for improvement.
Definitely,
That's the point.
definitely. Fine. Thank you. Thank you. So, Piyush, what's your say on this? Should you go for it? What do you find administrative reviews overall beneficial?
I'm not very sure about this because luckily I've not been into such situation up till now.
Agree.
So I mean, I'll not be the right person to take on it.
Okay, fine. Nurulan, any says, any experience with administrative review? Not your own, but any of your friends
Hmm.
going with those administrative reviews?
No, sir. Similarly, I'm not aware of how the process works or what happens, and I cannot
Okay,
comment on it.
okay, fine. And Ashi, any of your opinion on this?
I have not been through this. I have never undertaken any administrative review, and I honestly know no one who has gone through this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I don't know what actually happens in an administrative review. Does the
Fine.
mark get increased or do they also get decreased? So
Mm,
I don't think
agree.
I'll be able to answer it.
I
Yes,
think the
just.
open tuition guide may help
Mm-hmm,
in this question. I mean, this that open
fine.
forum,
Mm-hmm,
you can have a look on it. I mean, what is the
agree.
say of the people?
Fine. And
Common
just
people.
to add on, in terms of my experience with the administrative reviews, because lots of students have gone with it, ideally things remains the same. If you got flunked at 49, you will, after the administrative review, incurring the extra cost. That extra cost in the present time where we have so much of economic situations getting worsening over the world, it's better you put that money in your next exam sitting. Rather than you wasting that money for an administrative review, you need to understand that the marking process, the checking process is very rigorous at ACCA. If a student gets flunked at 49, a second marker, a second assessor will review your paper again just to ensure there is no arithmetical inaccuracy in the count of your marks, just to ensure that is there an opportunity to give you one extra marks to enable you pass. A lot of time the students have been very critical of the ACCA marking process, and they raise a lot of questions on the ACCA marking process. You need to understand this is an unbiased marking process. Look at the number of papers we saw just at the start of the session today, 99,000 papers, right, to be checked. So this is an unbiased process. There is no familiarity thread between the marker and the student, right? So everything is being done honestly. So if you got stuck at 49, investigate your failure and move on towards the December exam setting. Honestly, I believe it's a waste of money going for an administrative review because things will remain the same. And as Ashi said, we have seen situations where marks have gone down. 49 becomes even 45 or 44. So that's rather than getting demotivated after an administrative review, it's better not to take it. Okay. Uh, Another question. Uh, some of the questions relates with me, like when is the webinar starting, and just telling that the students have passed the papers. I'm not taking them currently. Okay, now what I would like to discuss in between before I find a relevant question to be put on screen, from each one of you, Ashi, Nurulan, Piyush, and Wasif, like 1 minute each, 60 seconds. You will be telling me uh, you passed the AAA paper or you passed the SBL paper, whichever. uh, what best a student can do within the time zone of exam. Sitting in the exam environment 4 hours or sitting in the exam environment 3 hours and 15 minutes, uh, a lot of time the student break very early. In the first half an hour, they think this paper is lost. If you come across that situation, what to do, how to control your nerves, because I believe that's very difficult in an exam scenario, controlling your nerves and emotions and moving on. There might be a certain requirement which at the first go you don't understand. There might be a certain requirement for 6 to 8 marks which you think you have never come across in your past paper practice. Such situations and 4 hours or 3 hours and 15 minutes, how would you go best in that? Starting with you, Ashi, first.
So in my case, what I can share is that I'll first share where I used to go wrong. In the mocks, I realized in SBL exam, what I used to do was I did not read the case study at first fully, but I used to read the requirements. I used to quickly search for the answer for that requirement in the case study, that where I can get this answer from, maybe exhibit 1, 2. I used to first do this, and then I used to read the case study, and then I used to feel that I'm not getting the answer. The thing that I was not able to do was I just connected my answer with one exhibit. I did not connect it through all the exhibits because I did not read it all at once. I was just finding the answer to one question or to one particular requirement. So
Agree.
then was the time when I changed the approach. When we used to do the mocks together, this is what we found out, that here I was going wrong. And then what I started doing was I first read the case study without seeing the requirement, because if I see the requirements, I'm again searching for the answer for that requirement. So I used to read the case study once, just take an overview about what is in exhibit 1, like if there is any public announcement or if there is a newspaper article. I used to just get through that okay, this is given, how it can be relevant to me in the requirements. Then I used to hop on to the requirements. I used to read the requirement, the first requirement only, used to connect it with all the exhibits, and I used to write on the notepad given in the exam that to how many exhibits I can relate it to.
Agree.
I know it takes some time, but you can spend 10 to 15 minutes on this, because if you spend time here, then the whole 3 hours, 35 minutes maybe for you will be sorted in SBL. You will be knowing for what particular area you need to open which exhibit, and then you can connect it with that, you can write the answer. But if you go on searching for the exhibits and in my first case, getting the answer for every requirement, like just finding the answer, that is a very wrong approach I used to do. And that is how what I used to find in my answers was it was only related to one exhibit. I used to leave out pointers from others. So
Okay.
this is something that I would like to
Okay, that's
share.
quite interesting, right? I'll just come back to that once the whole panel gives answers. That you are saying that in the first 15-20 minutes, just brush over the case study exhibits just to make a mindset of what's happening in every exhibit, right? What sort of informations are there in every exhibit. So once you start reading the
Yes.
requirements 15-20 minutes later, you can just try picking up, okay, this is where I found the answer. You can just correlate things back again, right?
Yes, in those 15-20 minutes, you can also write on notepad that which requirement you need to open which exhibit.
Okay,
Like there
fine,
can be
fine.
2, 3 exhibits as well for
Two, three
one
exhibits.
requirement.
Fine, fine, fine. Okay, that's quite a wise strategy. Nurulan, what should be a student doing in AAA in 3 hours 15 minutes to get successful? What
There,
was your case? In what exactly have you passed through in the September?
So as she said, first read the whole case study and then make some pointers that what you will be including in the answer and what not. Which points can relate to a business risk or to an audit risk, because things are related. If you are having a competitor or profits are low or such kind of things, these can relate to one another. So just make pointers and then write uh, which point is relating to what, and then you can summarize everything. And also I'd like to say that if such a questions come apart of 6 or 8 marks that you don't know or you feel like you are not ready to answer that question,
Hmm.
then in my case, or what I think is that you should leave that part, skip on the next question, do all the rest of the paper, and then what time you are left with, you can focus on that part. You can reread it, you can reread the study case study, and I guess you will be able to somehow answer some of it, I guess. But don't spend a lot of time on thinking, oh, I don't know the answer of this question, or I don't know the answer of this question. Just skip on it, do the rest of the paper, and then come back later on that question and then answer that question.
Yes, that's a total wise strategy. Totally agree. Piyush, what's your say? What was your exam strategy in 4 hours?
For SBL, I had a slightly different strategy than Ashi. I mean, I believe that I used to, read first introduction, then I used to read the overview paragraph, then the requirements. So there are, like, suppose if there are 8 to 10 requirements in the whole paper, so those 8 to 10 requirements will not need you to read each and every portion of the case study. So suppose there is a requirement pertaining to some cyber security, so there would be a particular extract for that. So in that way you can, reduce your reading material, because sometimes what happen, if we keep on reading everything, we get lost of the track. I mean, we cannot remember each and everything. So it's very important to write the overview, because that overview paragraph will get repeated again and again.
Agree.
So, I mean, there are some questions like risk mitigation, and risk actions. So, this is a very common question in SBL. You'll find in every sitting. So, in that particular question, so examiner would ask you, they'll give you some risk register, or they'll give you some particular two risks. So, you have to answer them, uh, restricting yourself into those two risks only. So
Agree.
there you will not need, you'll not need the whole case study. You'll just need the overview. What is your role, as a, if you are a finance director, you are CEO, who are you and to whom you are writing. So you can quickly, complete those questions, so that you have that sense that, oh, I have completed at least 30 to 35 marks paper, and now you can focus on the things which you need the holistic, thinking. I mean, for some answers you have to go beyond one extract. You have to connect from different extracts. But for many questions in the paper, you don't need to go on to 2 3 extracts. You simply need to study only, read only one extract plus the overview. I would
Agree.
say read overview for 2 to 3 times, and just, because it contains all the strengths, weaknesses, risk, competition, everything
Hmm.
about the company, a broad overview of the company. So that will help
Fine.
you in writing the good answer. So that was my
Totally
approach.
agree. Fine, fine. I'll just make a summary of that quickly. Wasif, what has been your approach for AAA? You got like 69 marks. So what was the main ingredients behind 69 marks in AAA?
Well, I would say the main process was the planning of the answer. You really need to plan your answer quite well,
Hmm.
because if you don't plan well, you'll start moving to different exhibits and confuse yourself with regards to the information provided in the case study. So I definitely put emphasis on the planning of the answer. And then, like you said, you might find some questions which you've never come across, or you don't know the content of it. You definitely want to skip it and come back to it later once you've completed the rest of the questions or the other questions, and come and try and fill in whatever information you can with regards to it. My emphasis was mostly on the planning part, and I stuck to the time management for each question. I did not overrun any time on any question whatsoever. If indeed I had to leave maybe a few marks on a certain question, I did leave it and I moved on.
Agree,
That's pretty
agree,
much
totally
what.
agree. Okay, what I'm trying to conclude from the discussion of all four of you is that first of all, uh, every student, when you are preparing at home before the exams, I think you should find an ideal strategy which will differ from a student to student. Now, obviously, when, for example, when a tutor is giving you a strategy for AAA and SBL, it's not like you are implementing that same strategy 100% in your exams, because when you're studying at home, you might alter some of the tutor strategy, and you say, okay, no, instead of doing this, I'll do this. Yes, some students even take suggestions from the tutor that I'm altering the strategy. Is it good? Is it not good? But I think because you are practicing at home, just like Ashi's strategy for SPL was a bit different from Piyush's strategy to SPL, both are fine strategies because both ways are fine. Both ways can result in success. Ashi is sitting in front of you. She was successful in SPL. Piyush is successful in SPL as well. So that means there is no one right strategy. I hope my panel agree with this. And every student needs to find what strategy suits him or her at the end of the day. And that strategy needs to be enforced on the day of exam. Well, a lot of time the students, even a week before exams, ask me what strategy to follow. I think that's quite a lame question from a student coming a week before. I think every student should find a strategy a month before exam, that this is what I will exactly be doing on the day of exam. And then you keep practicing on that strategy so that you become affirmative, and you find ease when you are giving the actual exam in December or March then. Okay, just quick, further quick questions and then winding it up. We have just another 6 more minutes remaining for the session to be winded up. Just quick questions. Very similar question coming from Francis asking, good evening, sir. I did not clear SBL. I got 47 in June. Is it wise to take AAA and SBL together for the upcoming December attempt? I think the panel has already addressed this, that going for AAA and SBL together depends upon lots of factors, depending uh, when you start preparing yourself. If you're starting to preparing yourself now for both papers and you have no study already for the two papers, and you say, okay, in 45 days I'll do the AAA and SBL from zero, that's next to impossible. But if you're already studying and you have you have covered up like 30-40% syllabus by now, both papers together are doable. But again, it depends upon lots of factors to conclude which should you go for two papers or should you not go for two papers in the upcoming exam settings. And if there are questions which are unaddressed, plenty of them are unaddressed, so I will be answering them on my Facebook page. I will be taking on your question and replying to each and every question in the next 48 hours. So please be watchful to get replies to every question. And I would also request the panel, if you are very active on social media, you can just look at a question on my post. And if you can answer that question now, you are more than welcome to answer any question which pertains to SBL and AAA. Okay, just one concluding remarks now. Okay, this question would be the last one I'm taking. Uh, Luna is asking a question. Failed AAA for the ninth time now this September. Was able to attempt 80% of the question and got 40 marks. Please, what should I do next? I want to sit again in December. Definitely, you should sit in December, no doubt about that. But 80% paper attempted and you got 40. I think one of your failure reason is within those 20% paper, which is left. 20% paper, if even you have attempted like 90-95%, probably the result would have been different. So I think first of all, you need to focus on the time management. You need to ensure that you tried your best to complete minimum 95% of the AAA paper. 5 to 6 marks remaining in the paper, that's not a big issue. Just like Vasif was saying, even if you are left with like 6 marks, it's fine. It all depends upon the quality of answer you wrote for the remaining 90% paper. But 80% in the context of AAA being such a risky paper where 2/3 students fail, I think you need to improve upon your time management. Anything the panel would like to add, you're more than welcome. The 10th exam sitting in December for Luna. Would you like to give her some advice? Anyone?
Uh, I think the preparation for her would be sufficient. Like she has prepared and read the content. It's just about the practice and the right approach to deliver.
Practice in the right approach
She
to
has to
deliver. I
work
agree.
on the time management. So I would rather focus on, like, if it is possible, give at least 10 to 12 mocks on the practice platform. I mean, in the same environment, like you
In the same
can
environment.
start the timer for 3 hours and set the timer for
Agree.
3 hours and 15 minutes and do it continuously without taking any break. So
Agree.
that will definitely help. I mean, the only thing which is missing, as per me, is the approach of writing the answers. That's all.
Fine, fine, fine. Totally agree with that. Okay, any last minute tips or techniques or guidance you want to share with the students appearing for the AAA, AA, and SPL exams in upcoming December exam sittings? Would you like to give them some valuable advice? 45 days remaining for exams, roughly. 45 days you will enter December. So, uh, if a student has 45 days and he's sitting today for studying, what best he or she can do in the next 45 days? I would like a minute each from each one of you. In 1 minute, tell me what best a student can do in 45 days. SPL, Ashi, Nurul and AAA, Piyush again SPL, and Wasif AAA. Okay, start.
Okay, so Yeah, if I take the lead, I would say that for the next 45 days, if you are taking the coaching already, you should first of all follow the homework schedule that sir gives. Both Kashif sir and Hussain Kazi sir, they used to provide what you can do in your homework. If you follow that daily, even if you don't write the total proper answer, but you jot down the pointers and then match them with the marking scheme, then also it will be very helpful. You should definitely go through what you have studied as concept today, and then you should apply that by working on the questions by yourself. Until and unless you're not doing it by yourself, it will just be listening to the lectures and going back again to the next one without practicing it yourself. So do follow the homework schedule. I think that will help a lot in the next
Okay.
45
Okay,
days.
that's great. Nurulan, what should be your study strategy for the next 45 days, which you would like to guide?
Sir, I would like to add on what Ashi said. If I was in this case, I would be focusing more on professional marks, because I think professional marks in AAA are a plus point. They're easy to gain, in my opinion, and they can increase your chances of passing the AAA exam. So one should also focus on professional marks. And again, what Ashi said, that your assignments, they are very important. People should do them regularly, and they should like jot down the answers and everything.
Agree. Okay, Piyush, what's your say on the next 45 days? What study strategy should be adopted?
I would say the time is limited, so you have to see. I mean, you have to do two things, like trust your tutor, first of all, and secondly, see yourself. I mean, there are limitations for which varies from individual to individual. Like for me, I'm a working professional, so it is very so I have very limited time to prepare for each and every paper. So what I do, I have opted AA, AAA, and SBL from you. So it gave me one direction wherein I have to just follow. I have to go in that direction, and it will lead to success path. So that's what I do, because since I know my constraints, I cannot go for self study and mugging up. So I mean, I follow all the approaches. So whatever you do, you just trust that thing. Don't just hop on things. Like some days you are studying Kaplan book, some days you are studying BPP book, and on the other days you are watching webinars, you are doing taking lectures from, I mean, some tutors. So that will not help. I mean, trust your sources. If you are taking coaching, then trust your tutor. If you are reading from some book, then trust that book, but follow one thing only at a time.
Totally agree. Totally agree. Vasif, would you like to add something to it? What should be the right strategy for next 45 days?
If you're starting from scratch, then I think it'll be a little difficult to achieve in 45 days, as well as what Pius said, you have other factors, working professionals or studying full time. Those factors obviously affect your performance with regards to the exam. However, I'll definitely not start reading the book, start memorizing and start gaining knowledge now. I don't think it's enough time for you to now gain all the knowledge or most of it and then do the exam practices with the past papers and all. That's what I would say. My suggestion would be to minimize. You don't have much time, so you probably just want to focus on more key areas. You
Fine.
don't want to now start indulging in chapters or which are not gonna give enough marks with regards to the exam.
Fine. Fine.
That's
Fine.
what I would say.
Okay, that's great.
Also,
Yeah,
sir,
sure.
I'd like to add one more thing, that
Sure.
one should focus on making a right schedule. Like
Hmm.
when he or she is going to complete all the lectures, when he will they have enough time for the practice of the questions and not. They
Agree.
should focus on right now, because 45 days are left. They should focus on making a proper schedule, and what to do in those 45 days and what not to do, without making any schedule, proper schedule or timeline, that till when you are going to complete the lectures or practice, what will be the practice time left, then it will be difficult to complete and pass the exam.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll just take another 3 minutes. Need 2 minutes to wind up the session and just to have a quick word with my panel. Just in the next 1 minute, these are some important announcements which are now coming in front of your screen. If you want to take any admissions to AA, AAA, and SBL, you can directly log on to my LMS, which is lms.kashifkamran.com, and you can directly register yourself here and start studying. If you have any issues and queries, you can directly WhatsApp me at my given number on screen for admissions or for any counseling you want after the results are announced today. And secondly, there is a relief for any student who got flunked in September 22. There will be a 50% off, which runs up till the 25th of October. If you want to take admissions again in the same paper for AA, AAA, and SBL. Now, just a quick conclusion. First of all, I would like to thank my entire panel, Ashi, Nurulan, Piyush, and Wasif, for coming into this session at a very short notice. I think I just given you a notice like 3 hours ago or 4 hours ago because I was busy with compiling results. And again, the result day is like very busy for the tutor because you need to congratulate so many students. And on the same way around, you need to console lots of students, particularly, which is a very difficult phenomena because student asking why I failed, and you need to talk with them, you need to take their telephone calls, you need to send them the voice clips, which makes things very busy. So I planned this session primarily for the students who got flunked or who wants to take a strategy for December and March exams. And I'm really happy that Ashi, Nurulan, and Piyush and Wasif has shared some very good comments. And I tried my best not to speak much because this was the best part, that a student who recently got success, and these are brilliant students sitting in front of you in this session, sharing their thoughts about how you can be successful. And I think at the end of the day, this matters more, that a student should listen to a student who has passed. I think that's like where you make the role models, right? So I think all of you who were part of the live session today must have enjoyed the words from Ashi, Nurulan, Piyush, and Wasif. Once again, I would like to congratulate each one of them on their recent success in SBL and AAA. And they were really nice students across the interaction I had with them on the WhatsApp group, checking their assignments, responding to them. It was good interacting with all of you, and so thankful that you took time out from your busy schedules and joining this session today. I'll be planning some more exclusively for SPL and exclusively for AAA, so we can split apart the questions. And I would perhaps again giving another opportunity for Piyush, Ashi, and a much bigger SPL panel in the next 1 week, and a much bigger AAA panel with Vasif, Nurulan, and few more students adding to that for a AAA next week. So that would be all exclusive subject based discussions we will be having. So once again, congratulations to all of you, and those who could not mate, who got flunked this time. The better luck next time. You need to follow the tips and guidance given to you by the panel. I wish you all success in your upcoming December exams. Thank you so much for joining this Facebook live session, and I'll see you soon with more specific sessions coming next week. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye, and Allah Hafiz, all of you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're all welcome.